Troy Parker, president of Innovative Labor and Cleaning, and this is another Motivational Moments. I want to share a few other lessons I've learned in my life along the way. Stop blaming your parents or past experiences for where you are in life. I meet people all the time who blame their parents for some event that happened or maybe a whole childhood. And though their parents may be gone or may be in a nursing home, but really don't affect their lives, their belief that their parents ruined their life holds them hostage in their mind. Anytime you make yourself a victim, whether it be with your parents, whether it could be a spouse, an ex, whatever, you've given all your control to someone else. And many times in these situations, the person we give this control to is no longer around. But I have found that most of us could probably look back and pick little things or big things that our parents did. And when we use those through our lives, to constantly blame our parents and say, well, I'm like this because my parents did this. Or I was married and my ex did this. We kind of stay at that level in maturity and in life that we're always a victim. We're always letting that past event control our lives. It's time today to forgive ourselves and those in our past and move ahead. Now, how do you do that? Many times, and I know growing up, there are things that my parents did that I didn't agree with, and they affected me negatively. But it wasn't until I started looking back and looking at how my parents were brought up, I came to the conclusion that my parents really only could do what they knew. They didn't really know how to parent. There wasn't a lot of courses and things like that. Back when I grew up, you used corporal punishment, or today, a lot of people say, oh no, don't spank your children. My parents weren't talkers where you could sit down and say, now Troy, why did you do that? My parents were trying to make a living. There were other pressures and things. So a lot of times when you did something wrong, you would get the hostility of whatever was going on in their life directed at you. But I soon began to look at it as though my parents were trying to raise us the best that they could, even though they've made their mistakes. And I know as a parent, I've made my mistake. But it wasn't until I forgave my parents and let it go that I was able to then move on and stop using that as an excuse of, oh, this is why I'm like that. And it could be a job. It could be, like I said, a relationship with some ex. But it is time to, one, forgive ourselves and forgive others, because only we and how we think about things is what really controls our lives. We will believe that people outside of our lives are really in control. But as I always say, everything starts in our own mind. Whether it be we feel our boss or coworkers are out to get us, we have to first think that. Then your mind automatically looks for situations where they're out to get you. But in reverse, it can work the same way. If you think I'm in a harmonious environment, I'm gonna think good about my coworkers, my spouse, my parents, you'll begin to see good traits because your mind basically allows you to see the things that you think about all the time. Think about in the past how you've been thinking. Say it's a negative situation, and look how many times you connect the dots and come up with little conspiracies like, oh, Bob's out to get me because I saw him talking to Stan over here and they did this. But if you reversed it and really worked and looked at Bob in a more positive light and worked with him and looked at how your behavior has been coming off, you'll see a lot of times we are creating these conspiracies ourselves when really it's all in our mind first, and then we perpetuate it out into our lives. I hope this has helped you, and always remember, it's up to you, and I truly mean it's up to you to make your life matter.